Hey there, welcome back to my channel. This is part 2 of my Q&A that I'm doing about foster care and adoption. If you're new to my channel, my name is Katie and I'm a foster adoptive mom of 3 kids. My youngest daughter, Brielle, is 3 and she was adopted back in 2019. And we're also in the process of adopting a 6-year-old boy and a 10-year-old girl from foster care. A few weeks ago, I posted on my community tab on YouTube for my subscribers to tell me what questions they had about foster care, adoption, marriage, all that good stuff. And so I got a lot of questions answered. So last week I answered like the first half or so, and today I'm gonna finish answering the questions because there were just so many good ones. Let's be honest, I also probably rambled on a lot more than I needed to, but you know what? It's my channel, so I guess that's what I'm gonna do. I think the questions that were asked for both this video and the last one are awesome questions that can be really helpful. So if you enjoy it, don't forget to hit the like button and also subscribe to my channel for more adoption and foster care content. All right, so the first question for today's video is from Emily, and it says, how far into the TPR are your 2 newest additions? So TPR is termination of parental rights, I believe that's what it stands for. And it says, how are you emotionally handling visitations, or are there any? So first of all, with the whole TPR process, technically our kids are a legal risk adoptive placement, which means parental rights had been terminated and given to the county, but there was an appeal made on the case. So the birth parent made an appeal to try to get the kids back. And at this point, the social workers all believe that it will most likely end in us adopting the kids. Otherwise, we probably would not have been taking on this case. In all honesty, my husband and I were looking more for an adoptive placement, not a foster care placement, but we thought these kids seemed really like a perfect fit for our family and that we could really be great parents for them. So we said yes, and our agency also assured us that they've never had this type of case not end in adoption. So it really looks like that's where it's going to end up, but I cannot actually say that for certain yet. They have been with us now for over 6 months, and usually you have to wait at least 6 months to adopt. Right now there's no end in sight. Don't even get me started on it because the judge in their county has not reviewed their case. This appeal, I believe, was made over a year ago and has not been reviewed. So not only does that put us in a hard situation, but it puts the kids in a hard situation, and it puts the birth parents in a hard situation of like waiting to see if their appeal is going to be granted. So I think it's really unfair to everyone involved. And I know for a fact that they are not the only kids in their county in this situation where they're in an adoptive family that wants to, you know, find permanency with them, and they can't because this judge has not gone through the appeals. I know it's COVID, I know things are slowed down, but to me it's just like, it's kind of insane that it's taken that long. But from what I hear, that's kind of normal, which makes me even more upset. So again, don't get me started. As for visitations, so right now all the visitations with the parents are online. So for our kids, they talk to their birth mom once a month. That's kind of what the county has agreed on. And so we have online Zoom call visitations once a month. We supervise all those visits and just make sure that what's being said is appropriate and things like that. We've never had really any problems. They've really enjoyed the visits. I think it's been good for them. We are in a slightly different situation than I feel like what most foster parents do, where we want to maintain contact with birth parents even after the adoption is finalized. Now, to the level of contact we'd want to maintain, I'm not positive yet, but I do think that in their case specifically, it would be very beneficial for them to maintain some sort of relationship. And so I actually email with their mom regularly, probably once a week at least. We send pictures back and forth, messages to the kids back and forth. And to me, that's just something I'm really passionate about, is allowing kids to have that connection to their birth family. I know not every family is comfortable with it, but for us, it's been good. We also had the opportunity to meet their mom with the first visit, which was in person. So we met her in person, and I think it was good. It's very awkward to meet birth parents. I think everybody feels awkward. They feel awkward. We feel awkward. The kids feel awkward. I'm not gonna lie. This has happened multiple times, once in person and once or twice on the phone, where our daughter will be talking and she'll be like, "Hey mom," and I'll go, "Yeah," but she's not talking to me, she's talking to her birth mom. and her birth mom heard me, and I just like, oh my gosh, just want to crawl into a hole and like bury myself in there. It's so embarrassing, and I know it's awkward for her mom too. So it's just, you know, it's uncomfortable at times, but I think we have a pretty good relationship. I think that her mom knows that I want her to be able to have that relationship, and I think that our daughter knows that I'm comfortable with her having two moms. I'm comfortable with her talking to me about her mom and the good situations and bad, anything like that. So it hasn't been too uncomfortable so far. So yeah, overall pretty good. I think it's a little crazy. I will say the kids do not seem to be nervous that they won't be adopted or something. Like, it doesn't seem to be on their radar that they could potentially even go back with Biomom, but they do enjoy talking with her and stuff. They just, I think they know that we're their forever family. Our son says that all the time. He's like, I'm just happy that we're gonna be a family forever. Like, he's just so cute. He says little cute things like that. And so I'm glad that they're not feeling insecure about that just because their case has been up in the air. So yeah, you'd think the county would want to hurry up because they have to pay us the foster care stipend until they're adopted, which is a lot more significant amount of money than if it was like an adoption subsidy after. So I don't understand why it's taking so long. All right, then the next question is from Emily B. So the other one was Emily, this is Emily B. It says, knowing that you've mentioned you don't have any fertility issues, how did you tell your families that you were deciding to adopt instead? And did you have to deal with either of your families questioning your decision to adopt? Okay, so first of all, the way we told them was we told them early on. Like, when we first started talking about adoption, I think we had been married maybe 2 years at that point is when we first started discussing it. And we were both kind of on the same page that adoption was something we wanted to do. I was already kind of like, I don't know if having biological kids is that important to me. And my husband was like kind of figuring out what was important to him. In all honesty, now I think I'm the one who's like, are you sure you don't want bio kids? Because like, if you do, like, we can talk about it. And he's like, I really don't. I don't know how many times I have to tell you that. But we both are kind of on the same page. So once we knew that we were on that same page, that we didn't really think having biological kids was what we wanted to do, we told our families early on. We didn't want them to be shocked if like a few years down the road when they thought we'd maybe be starting having babies, that we'd be like, actually, no, we just want to adopt. So we did actually sit down with both of our parents and tell them years before. Honestly, like a couple years before we even adopted or started the process, we let them know. I will say that I don't want to say that anyone was like unsupportive. Both of our families are like Christians, and they see the value of adoption, like taking care of kids and, you know, restoring families and things like that. They think it's a good thing, and I don't think they would ever discourage us from adopting. But I think there were concerns. I think they had concerns that we would take on a kid with like a really intense situation and it could be really hard on our marriage or something like that. And I also think there was a little bit of that maybe disappointment of just not having the typical grandparent experience. And I'm not hurt at all by that because I think it makes sense. Like, you know, kind of like if you're a parent and you imagine what being a parent is going to be like, and then if it doesn't meet your expectations, you'd be a little bit sad even though you still love your kids or whatever. I think in the same way, grandparents have these expectations of what being a grandparent is going to be like, and maybe they imagine they would be at the hospital with you and that, you know, they'd be able to meet their grandson or granddaughter right away, and they have to kind of go through a grieving process of losing that ideal scenario of a grandparent as well. And I like actually had conversations with my parents about that, and I told them like, it's okay if you're grieving it. That's fine. I understand. So I think just being willing to see it from their perspective and understand how they're feeling what really helps you have more patience. I really think both of our parents though have been incredibly supportive and have been there for us and helped us in so many ways since we've adopted that I would never think that, you know, they weren't supporting us. I do think that my family kind of thought like that I was afraid of giving birth, which, I mean, let's be honest, like who's not a little bit afraid of giving birth, okay? But I told them, I was like, if I really wanted to have biological kids, I would not let that stop me. I'm not that afraid of it, that it would be like, oh, I really want to, but it just sounds too hard. Like women do it every day. Women do this all the time. I know I could do it if I really wanted to, but I honestly didn't have that desire. So that's kind of how we told them. Okay, the next question is also from Lee. I believe it's Lee or Lay. I'm really sorry. I need to work on my name pronunciations. But she asked a question in my last video as well. But she said, I had a hard time finding any local private agency that handles adoption from foster care system. I contacted the county and expressed interest in adopting from foster care, but the idea of bypassing foster care and adopting a waiting child directly seemed to be frowned upon. They told me they only did foster care. I didn't feel welcome, so I'm not sure what to do. Are there two separate licenses for foster care and adoption? So I will say, yes, you can get two separate licenses. You can get just like a foster care license, or you can get like a foster and adoption license, which the second one is what we got. So we can be foster parents, we also can adopt. I really don't know what to tell you about agencies because it's so hard because it's different in every state. And where we are, we just happen to be right next to an agency that specializes in adopting waiting kids from foster care. So it's hard because in my experience, it was like really easy to find an agency like that. And I don't know, maybe there's like state to state situations where people are not as like open to that. I would say just continue researching, and you know, maybe it wouldn't be bad to foster for a little bit and kind of see where that goes as well. Otherwise, if you're really not wanting to foster, you just want to adopt, you may have to start looking into other routes of adoption if that's not available in your area. So I do know that you can usually be licensed by anyone who's in your state, even if they're kind of far away. There are people who drive like an hour or two to get to our agency, so you may be able to find one in the surrounding, like the outside of the surrounding areas. So that's what I would do. I would start looking there and then kind of make those decisions for what's best for you and your family. Then all these last questions are from Angie. So I'm assuming that's her name because it's like her page was called like From Angie's View or something like that. So Angie asked a lot of great questions that I'm going to cover. The first one has been, what has been your favorite part about bonding with each kid? I like this one. This is kind of fun. This is more like personal. One of the things I'll say that has been a fun way of bonding with all of them is that we have this behavior chart system. I think I've talked about before in vlogs if you want to check it out. Basically, it's like a sticker chart. So there's like a sticker chart for each kid on our fridge, and anytime we notice that they're doing something really great, or they're being helpful, or being kind, or doing something they're supposed to, we'll give them a sticker. To be fair, I don't think I've been the best about noticing and giving them stickers lately. But we go through phases where we try really hard to be like aware of that. And sometimes we'll say, hey, if you do a good job here, you get 3 stickers, that type of thing. Once their sticker chart is filled up, which I think is about like 15 stickers, they get to go on a outing with one of the parents. So it switches every time. So if my oldest daughter, like the next time she fills up her chart, she gets to go somewhere with me. We've done things like going to the trampoline park, we've gone to Starbucks and gotten drinks together, we've, you know, gone shopping, things like that. It's kind of a one-on-one activity with a parent as like a reward. The kids love it. They love it. They're very motivated by it to fill up their sticker chart, and it provides a really specific way of bonding, and it's something we've promised to them and set aside, so we have to follow through and actually do it. Because sometimes it feels like, oh, there's not time to just take one kid out by themselves. But the kids hold us accountable, believe me. They remember. So that's been really fun. We've gotten to do a lot of little ice cream dates with them, and it's just a really nice way to say, like, hey, you've been doing a great job and we want to spend time with you and just show you that we're proud of you. Now, if I'm gonna say with each specific kid what I like doing to bond with them. My oldest daughter, I love that we can talk about deeper things. So we could be like coloring or doing a craft or something, and we can have these deeper conversations. Or if I'm doing her hair or something like that for the week, we can go more in depth and talk about things that with little kids you just couldn't really talk about. So I feel like she's opened up a lot to me and shared a lot of things from her past in those times where we've been on our own, one-on-one, doing an activity together, and I just really enjoy that. I enjoy that age. She's 10, and I actually work with kids that aren't that much older than her. I teach middle school and high school kids, and so it's kind of fun because I'm used to that age group and getting to be really close with her and talk with her about things I've really enjoyed. With my middle son, I think my favorite way of bonding with him is by like doing activities he likes. So whether it's like building with magnet tiles, I think that's like the main one we do. Building with magnet tiles, building with Legos. Sometimes he just likes it if I just sit with him and watch like his little dinosaur show or Power Rangers or something. Like, he's just like, you want to watch a show with me? And he's very cuddly. And so that's been a fun way of bonding with him. And with my 3-year-old, I feel like we've bonded a lot over books and reading. Like, she loves for me to read books to her, or she loves to like read to me. She can't really read, but she does her best of like, from the story she memorizes, saying different lines from it. And you know, she can be a little more cuddly when she's not completely climbing all over you and whacking you in the face. But I do enjoy doing that with her. And sometimes you can get her to like paint or color, not for very long usually. Her attention span's like this small. But yes, I do enjoy those times where we get to kind of do like a little crafty thing together. Angie also asked, what's been your husband's favorite part about getting to know the kids, and he said he really likes their hobbies. So he said the little hobbies they have, the things they really like and enjoy, seeing how those develop and how they find more ways to learn about them. They're able to be creative and express themselves through the things they enjoy doing. So he really likes that. She also asked, how long was the process between being matched and having them move in? So the process with, I'm assuming she means the process with these kids, it's been very fast. So we told our agency in January of 2020 that we were looking to adopt again. We were just wanting to start looking. We were matched with them by February, like probably towards the end of February. And then by mid-March, right before everything went crazy with the pandemic, we met them. And it was literally the weekend before everything shut down. We met the kids. And that was like middle of March. Then we couldn't see them until June because of all the shutdowns. So we were having phone conversations like once, I think it was about twice a week at that point. And then in the summer, we started doing visits again in about June. So they'd come to our house for a few days, we'd bring them back. They'd come to our house for a week, we'd bring them back. And then they officially moved in July. So that's how long it's been. So they've been with us since July now, and we're now in February by the time I'm recording this video. And so yeah, that was kind of the process. It was a much longer matching process when we were matched the first time. I think we got our license in like September and we weren't even matched until February. So that's quite a bit longer than 1 month of waiting to be matched. It was like, you know, a good chunk of time there. And then she ended up moving in with us faster. The crazy thing is I think that if it wasn't for COVID, I think our older 2 kids would have moved in with us a lot sooner than they did. So in some ways, looking back, I'm kind of glad that COVID slowed things down. That might sound bad, but they were in a good foster home and they were very bonded. And so I think it gave them more time to adjust to the idea. And to be honest, it gave me more time to adjust to the idea of having a 6-year-old and a 10-year-old and really soaking in those last moments as just a family of 3 before everything just changed. So I'm really grateful for the way it worked out. And I think it was honestly God's plan. I think it was for the best. Her other question was your adoption through a heart gallery or through your state agency? And if you've done both, what's easier? So we have a private agency that we've worked with for both adoptions, and we looked through heart galleries, we looked through things like that, but it was actually one of the social workers from that agency whose job it is to like submit home studies. And I know that every single time that I would find a kid on a heart gallery that I thought, man, this kid could be a really great fit for our family, I would send it to our caseworker and she's like, I've already submitted you on that kid. So she was really, really on top of it. She loves matching families and kids together, which I think is wonderful. And so I never really had to do much. I still did because it felt like I was doing something. All 3 of our kids were not through like a state gallery. They were actually within like a county, and I don't know if the county has specific things they email to social workers in the state or what, but both of our kids were adopted in our state. I don't know if that answers your question, but that's as good of an answer as I've got. The next one, what is one piece of advice that's helped you most through this entire process? Honestly, I don't really think I got enough advice before we started the process, which is like a big reason why I started this channel. I mean, this channel isn't just for adoption and foster care, but that is one of the main things that I talk about. And I think it's because I didn't feel like I got enough personal advice. I read books, I read some blogs and stuff, and I did talk to some adoptive families, but you just don't always have time to talk to everyone about everything. And so I think that's a big reason why I wanted to create this channel, to make videos that anyone could go find and they could watch and they could understand like more about the process through our experience. However, I think a piece of advice that I got actually after I had adopted that was really helpful was from my grandma. A few times my grandma would like reach out to me. She's a very tech savvy grandma, so she's like not just on Facebook, but she's also on Instagram, and she watches my YouTube channel a lot. So grandma, if you're watching, hello and thank you for your advice. But I think she saw a few of my like social media posts, or when I was doing my blog more, like my blog posts or the videos, and she just told me that she thought maybe I was just being too hard on myself and my expectations for myself were just too high for being a brand new parent, especially one who's adopting kids. And I think that that was probably the best advice I had, was to just not be so hard on myself. I was putting all this pressure and expectation on myself to just be everything and be completely perfect in every way, and I was obviously failing at that, and so it was good to hear that reminder. Something I really wish I knew, but I think I'd heard it from people before, but I didn't really believe that I would feel that way, was that your bonding with your adoptive child will not be instantaneous, and it will not always feel that natural. And that just because I wanted to adopt so badly and I was looking forward to it for so long and preparing for it for so long, didn't mean that it was going to be this completely natural, easy process, and that I was going to be super happy in my new role as a mom. I honestly struggled a lot at the beginning and was very depressed, and so depressed that I didn't quite realize I was in it until I came out, which is why afterwards I made these videos about like post-adoption blues and feeling sad after adoption, because I really struggled and I don't think I realized how hard it was going to be for me personally. And I know that not everyone experiences it, but I think a lot more people experience those post-adoption blues than you would think. So I think if I could go back and tell myself like, hey, you might really struggle. It might be really hard the first several months to a year. It might be really hard, but that doesn't mean that you're not cut out for it. It doesn't mean you can't handle it. It doesn't mean you made the wrong choice or that you're going to ruin your kid. It just means you're normal and things are hard and you're adjusting, and it's okay. So I think I'm reminding myself of that all again this time around in the adoption, because it is hard and it is a struggle, and I'm not going to be perfect, and it's not always going to feel really fun to be a parent. So that's what I would say. All right, last question, and I can wrap up this video because I feel like once again it's incredibly long because I can never stop talking. So this question says, knowing what you know now about boundaries, I'm assuming she's referring to my boundaries video, which I'll link below, does it give you a bit more peace about potentially adopting or fostering more kiddos in the future if that's something you want to do? So here's what I'll say. Honestly, knowing more about boundaries makes me very confident in the fact when I say, I think we're done for now. I say for now because both my husband and I have talked about maybe in the future when our kids are grown up or we're retired or something, maybe fostering teens. That's something that we would both really be interested in. I know it's a really like underserved population, but our plates are very full right now. I feel very spread thin, and I don't think it would be beneficial for me in any way to take on more kids. I also don't think it'd be beneficial for those kids or for the kids we currently have. I am an introvert. I have a very low threshold for activity and things like that. So I just know myself more now, and I think 3 kids is my max. I really do. And there was a time in the past where I would have said, I'll take 4, I'll do whatever. But I don't feel that way now, and I think that's because I've learned about boundaries. And so we have no plans to adopt or foster any more kids after this. Like I said, unless maybe in the future, if we feel like it's the right time, fostering or adopting teens. I think it'd be really cool in the future to foster and maybe possibly adopt teens who are interested in being adoption before they age out of the system. That's something that's really on my heart. I love that age group, that kind of like end of high school, beginning of college age group. Like I just enjoy working with people that age, and so I think that could be a cool ministry down the road. For now, I think we're good. I think we're good. People ask me all the time, like, are you going to adopt internationally? Are you going to do this? I just don't think that's going to happen. I really don't. I'd be very surprised if we changed our minds and ended up adopting more kids. The only way I would, okay, I'll say this. The only way I really see that happening is if we somehow found out that Brielle's birth mom was having another baby and they wanted to keep like siblings together and they wanted to know if we wanted to adopt that baby, that would be absolutely insane. But we would maybe consider it in a situation like that. But again, that's a very specific situation. So that is where we are in our adoption foster care journey. We're probably done. So now it's just going to be being the best parents we can to the kids that are already in our home. But you know what? Much respect to those families who adopt like 10 to 12 kids. I literally do not know how people have that many kids at all, like bio kids or adopted kids. I don't understand. I don't even like to be around people that much, so I would not do well. I'm very like sensitive to sound and noises, and even having 3 kids is just like, oh my gosh, I'm so overwhelmed sometimes. So knowing my boundaries tells me I think we're done. I also think we're done with this video. So anyway, thank you again to all of you who left these awesome questions. I am hoping that this helps a lot of people, not just you guys who ask the questions, but also others who find this video, who want to know more about foster care and adoption. So please, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to my channel for more adoption and foster care content. I have tons of adoption content other than just this Q&A session, so I will actually link that playlist above. And I also share about adoption stuff sometimes on my Instagram account, which is also La Casa de Katie, so feel free to follow me on there as well. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope you have an awesome week.